What's up, everyone? Today is a new day, and I'm also on vacation from work right now. So, guess what? That means brand new videos very early into the day, hopefully. I'm going to try to grind as much as possible, of course, but today we are going to talk about Chaos Origins, what we can expect, and how to prepare, right? We're going to go over a lot of the cards here that I believe are incredible for every new archetype, and additionally, um, the deck of choice that I would choose moving forward. So, you see here behind me, there's a little screen grab of, a DB grinder video, which is showing like Invoked versus the Sacred Beast deck, right? Now, funny enough, these cards are not even making waves in the OCG as far as I'm concerned. When I look at their meta diagram, they're, not even paying attention to those specific archetypes, I should say. This also includes the Ritual of Light and Dark deck, otherwise known as Rolad. But that is actually kind of nice. I always say that the OCG never matters for us TCG players because, what do we follow from the OCG aside from several rulings, of course, that are similar? There's just very few interactions that don't work the same, right? And so where does this come through? Well, we have like Sacred Beast and Invoke that, of course, people are definitely playing over there, but I don't know if it has been fully explored. And here, I didn't know that the Sacred Beast deck had the capabilities to summon Colossus Varudras with Spell Canceller and Zena. This is kind of amazing, right? Now, take note that this is turn 2. So the Invoke player already tried to play, and their little field got broken. If you watch the video, you'll see he didn't really put up much. But that ended up working wonders for Hassan Kaimak, who ended up setting up his own board in retaliation. And I mean, if you're going second against a board like this, it's very hard to try to be able to play. One, you cannot add cards. Two, the spell canceller prevents you from activating spell cards. Three, if you do have a way to try to break the board, let's say with like evenly matched, the Varudras is there to stop you, and that means you need two forms of board breaking removal, maybe kaijus, what have you, lava golem, etc. And not a lot of decks can really play cards like those, right? So it makes interacting with this deck very difficult. So of course you need a lot of good hand traps. In doing so, of course, you also have to remember that this is the player turn 2, so they may also have hand traps / other non-engine pieces on the board that is going to try to prevent you from playing the game as much as possible. Decks like these are definitely a bit cancerous, but it shows that the Sacred Beast support is legitimate and that there is a few key cards there that you should pay attention for the next format in case you play against them. One of these cards is going to be Uria, Lord of the Searing Flames. If this card is on the board, you cannot respond to it trying to pop a spell and trap on the field. You also have Raviel, the retrained, which allows you to not only search for a Sacred Beast card during your turn, but quick effect, you contribute 2 other Sacred Beast monsters you control to destroy all cards your opponent controls, which is kind of nutty, right? Like, having access to a quick effect field wipe like this is absolutely insane. You have this, which can just slap bodies on the board in 3 different ways. You have Martyr, which allows you to get hella spell and traps out on the field. This AI generated card, for some reason, DB Grinder said it on his video too, but like it really does look like this art was like AI generated here. Disgusting. You can add 3 Sacred Beast monsters with different name from your deck to your hand and then discard 2 cards. Honestly, this is pretty nice. It is a 3 for 3, right? So it's not like you're going to plus, but like it lets you dig through your deck and get an immediate 3 monsters that are going to allow you to play the game, right? And also because you're adding multiple cards, it makes Droll feel a little worse for the opponent to activate. And in my opinion, this card is just custom. And additionally, right, You can also banish it, except the turn it was sent to the graveyard, to add a level 10 Sacred Beast, essentially. Meaning that this card adds multiple monsters, not just 3, and allows you to have follow-up for the next turn. The field spell is kind of nice though. Like if you control a Sacred Beast monster who is a level 10, you get to just draw 2 cards for free. You can send 3 others of the same type to the graveyard, which would be monster, spell, or trap, to special summon a Sacred Beast monster, which is an extender. And I think that is it for the most notable ones, aside from this one, right? Like, you can banish this card from the graveyard to fusion summon a Phantasm monster. If we look at which Phantasm monster they have, they do have this new one, which says twice per turn if this card would be destroyed. It is not. That's, you know, a nice bonus continuous effect, right? However, once per chain, up to thrice per turn, this is a quick effect. You can target one face-up monster your opponent controls to negate its effects, and then gain life points equal to half of its attack, which means that you get 3 face-up monster negates essentially with this fusion monster. And if I'm correct, if you have the field spell up, it's unaffected by spell or traps. Oh, no, it's only the monster that it summons. But regardless, this is still pretty good. So having access to a fusion monster that can negate 3 monsters during either player's turn, assuming they stay face up on the field, is still pretty nasty. So I would say that if you haven't thought about playing this deck, I would say give it a chance if you are interested, especially if we get the full art like that. I can't lie, it looks pretty sick. I'm not done taking stills from people. Here we are with the Rolad deck, otherwise known as its official name, the Ritual of Light and Darkness deck. At least that's what people have been saying. The Rolad deck has many different ways to be able to be played, because none of the cards actually really lock you. Like, there is one card that locks you, and that is the Mystical Celtic Sage, which says if you use the effect this turn, you can only, I think, go for 1 extra deck monster. But honestly, that type of restriction isn't even that crazy when a lot of your interruption is going to come from the ritual monsters that you see on screen. It's not that much, right? Like, the real one that is a interruption is going to be the BLS retrain, because that would allow you to on summon banish a card from the field. But because the engine is so small, it allows you to play either other pieces of engine with it and a lot of non-engine as well. I mean, you can see here in this list that Sacco has. He has Harmonia, Magnamud, because it is pretty good into the branded matchup, right? You have access to the Fallen engine, which is really good because, again, you get access to Fallen and the Virtuous, and also access to the branded fusions. I've also seen people play like a Yummy Mitsurugi variant with this. I've seen everyone be open to trying multiple strategies with the Ritual Light and Darkness decks. And what's really cool about the Ritual monsters is that they are unaffected by card effects unless they target the card. Additionally, they protect, well, at least I know the DMOC Retrained Ritual protects your back row from being destroyed by card effects as well. We also have this card here. I forgot what it's called, but it allows you to add a ritual spell and a ritual monster, so it's like a better pre-prep of rites, if I'm correct, which means that you can mix this with any other ritual engine and do really well with it. We also have a bunch of different cards that allow us to access that engine even better, so we will go ahead and move on to that really quick. So some of the best cards that we have here is Black Chaos. This one cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by shuffling 1 spellcaster or warrior ritual from your hand or graveyard to the deck, right? So it is able to recycle its engine. You can only summon it once per turn this way, and if you do, on the field, it is unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, right? Once per turn during your main phase, you can banish 2 cards your opponent controls, not targeting. And its most important effect, right, is that you can discard a card, place a continuous trap that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your deck or graveyard face up on your field, which is likely to be the Mind Shuffle. Additionally, we have a new Karibo called Grifo. I think that's the... I forgot what little like helmet does it have. I forgot which monster that comes from. So this is a hand trap. And the best effect on it is quick effect. You can set one quick play spell or trap that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your deck, and it can be activated this turn. So this card also allows you to access Mind Shuffle right away. However, you can also access the Chaos Mystic box. You can access the Chaos Magical hats. So if you already have access to Mind Shuffle, this is going to allow you to grab that too. Mind Shuffle allows you during other player's turn to add one monster that mentions Light and Darkness Ritual from your deck to your hand and then discard a card. And because this is a quick effect, that means you get to do this and this in the draw phase and play around Droll and Lockbird really well. The Skull Archfiend of Chaos is also really nice because you can add it off the Mind Shuffle, and it has a really nice graveyard effect. For one, if it is in the hand or grave, you can target 3 other cards in the graveyard that mention Light and Darkness, place them on the bottom, and then special summon it. But if it is sent to the graveyard, you can send one ritual spell from your hand or deck to the graveyard to add a ritual monster whose name is listed on it. The one that you are going to send is Light and Darkness Ritual because it mentions both the Magician of Dark Chaos or the Blackluster Soldier ritual monsters that are retrained in Chaos Origins. And as you can see, this list is a lot more humble, but again, loads of non-engine to make up for its lack of main deck engine, and time will tell if we get more support in the future. Again, the only card that really is an interruption is going to be the Blackluster Soldier of Light and Dark, which on summon you could target a card your opponent controls and then banish it, but that doesn't mean that that's the only real one, because Mind Shuffle allows you to bounce back a level 7 or higher monster you control to the hand in order to special summon the monster that mentions Light and Darkness, right? Which means if they try to get rid of like your Magician of Black Chaos or your Blackluster Soldier with cards like Fallen in the Virtuous and whatnot, you get to bounce it and then summon the other one back and forth. And again, if you don't have one of them on your turn, you can always search it on the next turn, because this is during other player's turn, add a monster, which means you can add both of these cards and have them in rotation ready to switch out and tag, right? And then, I guess we could read over the other ones, right? When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets another card, return one of the targeted cards to your hand. If face down, you reveal it, and if you do, destroy one card in the field. And then you can special summon a monster that mentions Light and Darkness, right? Which is like, okay. If it's destroyed though, you can special summon a ritual monster that mentions it. It's another way to cheat it out. It's like whatever. I think this card is actually not that bad, right? When your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell or trap, you could choose 3 spell and traps with different names from your deck and 1 monster in your main monster zone that mentions Light and Dark. And then you can special summon the spell and traps as normal monsters. In face down defense position, their names become Chaos Magical Hats even while face down. Set the chosen monster, and if it is face up, you can also set the chosen monster if it is face up, and shuffle them on the field. Okay, I see. So you're gonna set all of them and then mix them around so that your opponent doesn't know which one it is, right? Then your opponent's activated effect becomes destroy one monster your opponent controls in face down defense position. Okay, so basically it is like magical hats, but like when they activate a effect, right? And so it changes the effect to destroy one face down monster. But that also means that you need like a lot of like space on your field to be able to activate and resolve this effect, right? Because you need to have 4 empty spaces in the main monster zones, right? Which means you could take up an extra monster zone and 1 regular monster zone. Technically you need 3 active, right? But one of those monsters has to be a monster that mentions Ritual of Light and Darkness, right? I mean, come on. It's gonna be a lot to try to get this to actually resolve. And then guess what? Once they are no longer on the field, what do you do with them? I get it. They're normal monsters even though they are face down. So you can link off with them, but you don't have that many options, right? I mean, I guess you have IP Masquerena. You have access to Dynamondo potentially. I think Nightmare Unicorn requires effect monsters. I think a lot of these require effect monsters. So it's like hit or miss. Oh, and then I forget one other card, the Celtic Mystic. This is the new Celtic Guardian. If I remember correctly, this card can add cards that mention Ritual of Light and Darkness, but you're locked into only 1 extra deck summon. I wish Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro deck didn't take years to load, but that is the gist of it. basically, you know, when we look at this deck, oh, no internet, sick. Basically, when we look at this deck, we are expecting it to be a mid-range deck, right? It is something that I am probably going to investigate further because I kind of like decks like these that are more mid-range and not very combo heavy. So I expect, if also this gets really good support in Beyond the Brave, that this is going to be a high tier deck later down the line. Right now, I'm thinking it's going to be just okay, maybe a little mid. But again, the capabilities of you to be able to just mix anything with it means that it has high ceiling potential, so I would stay tuned for this one. We also have the Angeliki archetype that got mentioned. I already made a video about this, so feel free to watch my response to like the reaction of these cards down below in the description. So what do these cards do? They all are synchros that essentially set up a floodgate effect whenever they're in the spell and trap zone. This one, only 5 monster effects can be activated. This is the light monster king. We got Bastion, which protects your other Angeliki spell cards from being destroyed. This one inflicts 500 damage to the opponent whenever they activate and resolve an effect, which is the pawn of the deck. No, this is the Dressrier, which is the knight. So in the archetype, this is based on chess, right? This is the king. This, I believe, is the rook. Yeah, you can see there's the like the castle markings. This should be the knight, you know, the little horsey. And then we have enlisted, which is a pawn. The pawn in the spell and trap, what does it say? If the control of this face-up card changes, returns to the extra deck, the owner of this card special summons an Angeliki. I mean, this is like whatever. The pawn is just there really to change controls and try to negate if possible, which can be summoned easily with the field spell Angeliki problem. So yeah, basically, this is our new TCG exclusive. A lot of people have been experimenting playing this deck with like Centurion, playing it with Elf Note, playing it with like other prominent synchro based strategies, but those two are the ones that are seeming the most promising. Elf Note being probably the best one because on top of Elf Note allowing you on top of Angeliki allowing you to set up like really good floodgates that would damage your opponent whenever they keep playing, either by burning them or by limiting the amount of monster effects that they can use. Elf Note allows you to kind of render the opponent's hand a bit more useless as well, because you get to, for instance, rip 2 cards, one with Omega and the other one with the Tenia, and also they end up having access to the trap card, which is a face-up negate for any card, and that is, I believe, permanently. And then they also get access to something like Chaos Angel, Genora, etc., which makes it probably like the best partner that you can like fit with the Angeliki archetype, because Centurion can also, you know, set up like your opponent to not be able to play, you know, set up double Blazar and infinite follow-up, but I really prefer the Elf Note archetype because one has not been power crept yet, right? Speaking of Elf Note, we do get support for the Medius archetypes. Specifically, you know, we get June Pride Elf Note June Pride, whatever they are planning to call it here. Just by the way, if they do call it June Pride, hello, we're in June, it is Pride Month. Shout out to all my LGBT homies, you know I'm an ally. This card has a pretty nice effect and really good attributes, right? It is a level 10 Elf Note monster. That means that you no longer have to just have access to the Genora synchro in order to summon it off the chicken effect, right? Which modulates the level and then synchro summons an Elf Note or a Power Patron synchro, right? Now you have access to June Bride Elf Notes. This card is pretty nice, right? While it is in the monster zone in the middle, both player cannot declare attacks except for monsters in the main monster zone. But the best effect, right? During the main phase, if this card is in the center main monster zone, you can return it to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon Elf Note monsters up to 1 each from hand, deck, or graveyard, right? So that means you can summon back out cards like Tenia, Lucina, and Fortuna all at once, which just so happened to be in the card art, right? And that is important because all of these monsters have effects to dance on the field to you know, do stuff, right? This one bounces a level 6 or lower back to the hand. This one bounces a spell or trap, the Fortuna, and then Tinia rips a card to the banish zone from your opponent's hand until the end of the turn, right? So this gives you an option to continuously not only summon them back from hand, deck, or grave, but also allows you to continuously synchro summon into the June Pride Elf Note monster off of the Elf Note Power Patron, giving you a target to continuously be able to like tag out, right? Which is kind of like the main thing about this deck, is it likes tagging out, it likes dancing around, so this fits very well in within the archetype. We also have, you know, a Link monster. I don't know that you would play this in Elf Notes. I'm sure you could, because it does add a really nice card. So whenever this is Link Summon, you can add a Etherealized card from deck to your hand, which means that you can start playing Etherealized cards in the like Elf Note deck if you happen to make this. During the main phase, if you control another Dark Fairy, basically if you control a Power Patron or Medius, you can use this as an IP Masquerena, essentially. So it gives you Link options in like other decks, but I believe this card is just mainly going to be stronger in the pure Power Patron deck, in my opinion. And it's really nice if you get to set up like double IP. What, are you gonna summon double SP? I guess not, so maybe this is just a replacement all around, but yeah. Then we have this card here, Absolute Boundary of the Power Patron. This card is kind of nice if you play pure Power Patron. You get to reveal one of each of the Power Patron monsters from the extra deck, and if you do, your opponent cannot activate cards in response to your Power Patron monster's effects, right? So they're going to be safe from activation negations, essentially. And then this allows you to banish this card instead of a card from the top of your deck from the graveyard if you activate the effect, like the Genora to banish 3 and then like summon the, I'm sorry, Genoldo to summon Genora, or whatever the other monster's effects conditions are, right? But then we also have Past Etherealized, and that's why I said you might actually want to play this in Elf Note. If you do make it and you're not synchro locked, if you control an Archmage, Doomsday, or Elf Note card on the field, and notice that it says card, you can special summon a Medius to Pure from hand or deck, right? Which means that no longer do you have to use Regina to summon Elf Note Power Patron from the deck. If you get to make Past Etherealized, or rather you have access to it, you could just summon Medius and then summon the chicken, which gives you a opportunity to make level 8s a lot easier, like Omega, to hand rip, which in my opinion ends up being really important. In the TCG, we don't have access to Baron the Fleur, so there's no reason for us to always try to like use the chicken's effect to level up, because there's not a lot of good level 10s that you would want to make. June Pride does solve that issue, but like having access to a Baron Negate would be kind of nasty. Regardless, this allowing you to get Medius from the deck immediately allows you to also activate its effect to summon the chicken, and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects whenever it's summoned, which means they cannot stop that effect. So yeah, no, I think this card is just really good. Also, it says you can banish this card from the grave to target a Fusion Synchro or Exceeds in the graveyard to special summon to a Link monster that your monster points to. A Link zone, I should say. This is like okay for the most part, but I do like it nonetheless. We have this card here. This gets extra effects depending on how many extra deck types you have on the field, and these are the main ones. One or more banishes the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck face down, which is mid. 2 or more banish 1 card your opponent controls face down, which is really good because it's non-targeting. 3, then you can banish 1 card from your opponent's hand as well. So this is almost like a Trish effect. Again, I feel like this is only really good in the pure Power Patron deck, but like aside from that, I think it's still kind of nasty. And then lastly, Elf Notes gets another trap card. I think this trap card is okay though. Its continuous effect means that your monsters in the center zone cannot get banished, which is nice, but it's like whatever. And then we also have this effect here, which can banish No, I'm sorry. Send a spell or trap from field to the grave to declare a number from 1 through 4. Special summons an Elf Note token, right? However, you can only special summon Elf Note monsters while this token is face up on the field, and so even though it is a tuner, it almost feels like kind of weak, don't you think? It also doesn't have any attack or defense, so it's not even like something that you can use to swing with. I think this is like a nothing burger. Maybe people can prove me wrong, but like, yeah, the most notable cards for Elf Note in the future is definitely going to be just June Pride, Pasteurialize, maybe the Link Monster. And of course, we have the Invoked cards. The new Alistair Retrain is kind of cool, right? Special summon, it gains 1000. If it's summoned, you could banish an invoked monster from your extra deck to add an invocation. It gives you more access to the fusion spell that we all know and love. Spirit of the Law, Iwas. Banish this card from hand or field to add an Alistair. If you banish it from the field, you get to normal summon a spellcaster additionally from your regular normal summon, right? If a face-up fusion monster you control is sent to the graveyard except by battle while it's in the graveyard, you can special summon this card and then fusion summon. You know, it's kind of nice. This card is also okay. If an Alistair monster is in your field or graveyard, you can summon it, and if it is summoned, you can set an invocation or a spell that mentions it. They do have a new quick play fusion card, this one here, that returns cards from the banish zone, so it recycles whatever you banish. And then in response to like your fusion monster's effect, if your opponent ended up responding to it, you could banish this card on the field to negate it. You have Serato, uses a fire or a wind. During the main phase, target a level 6 monster in either graveyard or lower, special summon it to your field, negate its effects. And if it's in the grave, you get to fusion and invoke monster fusion by banishing materials. So you can like summon a card back, make like an SP Little Knight, maybe make an IP Masquerena, and then fusion summon. Assuming nothing, again, fusion locks you, right? I'm pretty sure nothing does, but I could be wrong. Then we have the Invoked Babylon. When it is special summoned, you get to special summon a... one of these is the artifact. Yeah, you can special summon this guy from the deck, or Magical Name Rosamundi, which I believe is the other one. We're gonna find out which one that is later, anyways. From deck to the hand, and then you could banish one monster from either graveyard, which is okay. I think this is fine. However, the effect that we all know and love is going to be this one. You could banish this card from the grave, then target one fusion monster you control. All monsters your opponent controls lose attack equal to that one. I think this is pretty cool, having damage modulation. It always catches people off guard. Like, that is one thing a lot of people don't pay attention to, and it is these type of damage modification effects. Then we have this one. This is basically Kashtira, a Rise Heart, right? While it is in the extra monster zone, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. You can only use this effect, let's see, the third effect once per turn. You can banish this card from the graveyard, target a fusion monster you control this turn. Yeah, that effect is like okay. While this card is in the main monster zone, your opponent cannot target other monsters you control for attack. So this can be a wall, or it can be Macrocosmos, right? It's really easy to put out as well. One Alistair monster plus a dark or water, meaning that like you can use Alistair plus the new one to go ahead and make it. Yeah, like it's not that hard whatsoever. You also have this one here. I think this one is actually not that bad. If this card is fusion summoned, you could banish cards from the field and or graveyard up to the number of this card's fusion materials, but if you use 3 or more materials, you can look at the opponent's deck and banish 3 cards from it. This ends up being really important because, again, you can make this with the Invocation Sword, saying if you summon an invoked fusion monster this way, you can also return monster from either player's banishment or to the graveyard as material. You're going to have at least 4 monsters banished, which means you'll have more than 2 fusion monsters with different attributes a lot of the times, and then banish 3 from the extra. That is just nasty. Let's see, and I think that's it for the most relevant ones, right? We got a alt art for Magistus. Yeah, Magical Name Rosamundi. Wait, what? Is that what it is? Oh, I guess. Oh, so that's what it is. Okay, never mind. You can banish an Alistair. Yeah, I think it's okay still. So all of these cards are really nice whenever you read them. On paper though, we haven't seen this archetype do much. We do see that Yasin has been experimenting with this deck since it got announced with the new support. But time will tell on whether or not this will actually be a good archetype or not. I believe that this is a deck that also requires a bit more engine from other archetypes to work well, because with it by itself, I just don't see it doing enough, honestly. But again, maybe I can get proven wrong, and hopefully I do, because I do think that these cards are really nice. Maybe you play a heavier Magus engine or what have you, but regardless, that is just about everything. However, there is one more card that I want to go over, and that is Zena no Suinagihime. That can't be the right name, right? Whatever. Basically, it's a new Link 5. First off, the card art looks amazing. Konami really put time and effort in having an artist draw this. But it has insane effects. So you can make this with a monster that you control in hand, right? Not control, but own in hand. So if you have like multiple bodies on the field, or maybe a Link 4 and a monster in the hand, boom, you just slap it onto the field. You don't even need to summon another card from the deck, grave, or what have you. If it is Link summoned and you only use monsters that you controlled, because I believe wait, no, I'm thinking of this wrong. If this card is Link summoned, you can send one monster from your deck to the graveyard. This can send like Spell Canceller, Christia, what have you. Or if this card was Link summoned only using monsters that you controlled, meaning monsters on your field, not monsters that you own or are in possession of, you can send a monster from your extra deck instead. We don't have Herald anymore, so I feel like this is like whatever, but it could still be pretty relevant, I'm sure. And then, of course, during your next standby phase after this card was sent from the field to the grave, you can add one monster from your graveyard to your hand, so it also gives you follow-up for the next turn. But again, this is the most important effect, sending a monster from your deck to the graveyard. This card is going to get banned. There is no reason why they should have made another Beatrice-like effect, right? I get it. This is only monsters, but that's all you really want. You want to dump monsters, and with the new Weather Painter Charmer Link 4, I mean, the possibilities are endless on what you get to summon off of it afterwards. So I just think that this card was kind of a mistake. But Lord knows I'm gonna play it eventually. Like, this card is just too cool to not play. So yeah, that is everything that you really need to know from Chaos Origins, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments section down below if I forgot anything relevant. But yeah, I'm probably going to try to play the Rolad deck with like the Fallen engine. Again, I love mid-range decks, so that's probably gonna be what I give up Cool Tune for. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.